Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. Today we have special guest,
Naja and Hiba.
and then I'm also with Nazish today. And today we'll be talking about basically unconventional careers, not your typical basic careers, and how to pursue that. So I'm just gonna let you guys introduce yourself, a little bit of background on yourself, and you guys can go ahead.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I'll start. I'm Naja, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I did my bachelor's in psychology at U of I, and then I got my master's in social work from the University of Chicago. And right now I'm doing case coordination with older adults in the area. I'm also an improviser and comedian, and this is my sister Hiba, who I share that hobby with.
Yeah, my name is Hiba. Obviously, I just said that. I'm an architect, so I got my degrees at University of Illinois and Yale School of Architecture. I also am a youth design mentor, and I'm also a comedian. And together we do Uncivilized, which is we do improvise like all around the city, but our kind of side project together is Uncivilized. We're a comedic duo. We do YouTube channels, write and direct shorts, do comedy sketches. We performed at Steppenwolf, and we also do Tying the Knot, which is a page that basically showcases our love for Urdu, or the language, through calligraphy and knots, and that's kind of like a family endeavor.
Oh wow.
That's actually really cool. You guys have a very impressive background. And as for your little side comedy hustle that you guys have going on, so how did you guys get started with that? Or was it when you guys were in undergrad? Or can you tell us more about how that started or how it all happened?
With comedy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, Hiba and I have been funny from the womb. No, I'm totally kidding. But also, yeah, no, it's true. We've always been performing as a family. Like when we were younger, that's just a trait that we had, and also like our parents passed down to us. We had a pretty untraditional family, non-traditional family. I know words. But like even with we have a younger brother with a disability, so to always be on and be ready to perform or be ready for any kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's something that we
To lighten the mood and basically.
always. And so we had that skill at a pretty young age. We have a lot of situational comedy as skills as well, which lent itself well into improv. And so when we were done with grad school, I think we started classes at IO,
wow.
Improv Olympics Theater, and we finished those classes, and we performed on a couple of teams and across the Chicagoland area, and here we are.
Yeah, I think basically we've always had a love for comedy, but also we, coming from an architecture background, we love to create and design products that you can show for your work.
Yeah.
So I think when that happened and after our schooling, we're like, hey, why aren't we documenting this? Why aren't we recording this? Why aren't we putting it out there? Who cares what anyone says?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying at first we started on Snapchat.
Yeah.
We were just doing massive
Just,
amounts
vlogs
of stuff.
and
Yeah,
stuff,
Snapchat.
yeah.
And people were you guys are you need to make a YouTube channel. We were already kind of thinking about it. And it was just nice to just document it and put it out there. And then that also lent to live acting and live improvising and again doing the show for Steppenwolf. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's nice to have something to show for
Yeah.
the jokes that you.
Because I
write or
feel
whatever.
you have your your 9-to-5 career, and then you get home, and then it's just okay, what do you do now? It's not like you want to carry your work over to home, so it's nice to have a little hobby to the side. One question that I do have, I know especially in the Desi community, when you do something that's unconventional, like comedy, or even I know a couple of people in our community did YouTube channels, and you know what people
It's
say
not
about
taken well with the
Yeah.
community. It usually isn't.
yeah, it's
And-
just they're doing YouTube,
Because they expect
what?
those basic
Yeah.
engineer, lawyer, doctor, that
Which
that
is
typical
which I
route.
don't like, because the thing is I feel so many people in our community have so many different
They
talents,
have talent,
but
and
they're afraid to
they're not
showcase
able-
it because
yeah.
of what people would say. So did you guys ever hesitate on starting it because of what other people might say? Because you guys are like through this community too, right? Within
Yeah,
our area and
totally.
stuff like that.
Did we ever hesitate? No. I would say no.
Okay.
But I will
You
say
and I have different answers.
I don't think we hesitated, but we did get feedback and
Yeah.
we heard from people, right?
Negative or was it
Oh, for sure. I think
Yeah.
everyone has a mix.
I
of
think
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
does get.
Wait, so
Because
they
it's
straight up
very
said
new.
it to your face negative, or how did that happen? Or you heard things, or how was that?
Well, so it's
yeah. I mean, I
I
was
was very
gonna say,
curious as to what you're gonna say.
I don't know about your parents, but mine. No, my parents were just like, "Why are you doing this? Like, you're being so jungly on camera."
Yeah.
But like, I think actually outside of our family, people were pretty into it. I feel like
It's just directly
I don't know.
coming from family.
Outside of family, as in like friends and like.
I feel
or,
like I disagree with you.
oh really? You've had a different experience?
She's like, you
I'm a
disagree?
different family. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Did we ever mention that we were sisters?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just double check.
I mean,
I
like in
think
the
I said this to my
podcast, you guys
sister
didn't,
Helen.
but.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like we should just clarify that.
Well, they're
So when we
sister
talk
guys.
about
I think that we should have probably been more clear.
But like,
Yeah.
no, what
Hi,
I think
Mom.
though is, I do think there was negative feedback from a lot of like non-family members, just because like, well, we just like said our bios. We obviously like have degrees. We are like career women.
Yeah.
So people are just like, why are you putting this out there?
Do they think that like the image doesn't match with like
yeah,
you're 9
it's like
to 5
okay,
and then,
so like you're just gonna make yourselves look immature
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
you're
I
trying to
get
be a
that.
professional
Yeah,
person. But I think that people don't realize the skills that you're developing when you're doing comedy, when you're doing
Yeah.
improv, all of those things. Like for me, at least, my years when I became like the most confident, the most like career driven, like passion oriented, those all combined with comedy.
Helped you grow
like
as
it
a
helped me
person.
grow
Yeah.
as a professional,
That makes sense.
and as just like a woman.
You
So
acquired like all those traits
Yeah.
coming from this, right?
It's
Yeah,
interesting
exactly.
because like you know how you guys are comedians and stuff like that, like even people within the community, you know, they'll go out of their way to watch like comedy shows, but when it comes to like their own kind basically pursuing that, they're like, wait, why, you know?
I feel like
Yeah.
that's just something that's really common in our community overall. Like we really do not support each other.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I said our parents originally is just because, like, I think our parents and a lot of people in our community just want us to excel at whatever we do. And so with comedy, because it was such a new thing for them, they're like, how do you excel? Like, what's the highest
can
thing
you-
that you can
yeah.
do?
Do
Like,
more
what's
with
the most
this?
prestigious
Yeah.
comedy
Yeah,
thing you can do?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, at first they were like a YouTube channel, like, what's that? But YouTube was our start. And then once we started, like, writing and performing, like, they got more open up, like, they were more open to that idea. And then I think when we did Steppenwolf, that's when they were like, oh, this is a
Yeah,
really
I feel
good
like
thing.
once they see that growth,
Yeah.
like you like continuing with it, you're like consistent, you're you know, you're just doing more with it, you know, that they're more inclined to be like, okay, so I see what
Yeah.
what you were actually trying to
Yeah.
do with this.
Yeah.
So like when it came to like your parents, like did you guys just like do it out of like without like letting your parents know, or like did they find out on their own, or how did that happen?
So we live at home. We live
Uh-huh.
at home. So they know everything that's going
Yeah.
on in the house. But like we're also my personality is if my parents straight up tell me not to do something, then I'll be like, dang, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So what I do is I don't ask.
Yeah.
I just
oh.
do
you
it.
don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness.
And it's not like you guys are doing anything bad, you know?
Exactly.
It's just
At,
exactly.
the, at the root of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know if you're doing something like quote unquote wrong,
Yeah.
right?
You have the
So
right
if you-
intentions with this. No,
Yeah.
it's not wrong.
So if you know if you're not like totally breaking a rule and you just do it, then you just deal with it later.
Yeah,
And I think it's funny though, like a lot of our YouTube videos, I think we keep it in at least the bloopers or the actual footage. Like you'll see our mom walk in the middle of a recording and they'll be like,
How do you guys play that off?
She'll be like, oh, astaghfirullah. And I'm like,
it's hilarious though. And
Yeah.
she knows what's going on, and at least like I think we've also grown as a family in terms of comedy. Like
Yeah.
we were always doing stuff at home. I think improv was a little bit different because you were going out to do shows. So
Yeah.
like they weren't seeing what we were doing on stage. And that is also a little bit unique because we have teams that not everyone is Muslim.
Yeah.
In comedy, you can't always like predict what's going to come out of your
Yeah, of
partner's
course.
mouth.
Especially with improv too,
So
it's like
it's
out of
really
like
nowhere.
I know
yeah.
what
So
I'm
different.
capable.
Yeah.
I know what I'm capable of saying, what I want to say, what my boundaries are, and all of these things, and I'm
Yeah.
going to stick to that. But it doesn't necessarily mean the show
Yeah.
is going to end up in that direction.
No,
But I
that's
think
true.
with Steppenwolf, that was really special because like we wrote that about our family.
yeah.
And we were basically like practicing in front of them, and like a lot of it had to do with like our younger brother and just like random things about like growing up as siblings and all of these different aspects about our lives. And it was like a total family process,
Yeah.
and they ended up coming to the final show, and they
Yeah.
were really proud of us. So
And like supportive and
exactly.
everything. Yeah.
And same with my stand-up stuff. Like half the time, my mom is giving me material like the day of.
That's
Really?
sweet.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
yo,
just
I'm
so
using that as a
nice.
joke.
It's
And
actually so nice because I feel like your parents, like they're hesitant at first, but then at the end of the day, they just end up supporting you, which is really sweet.
Because they just want the
Yeah.
best, you know. And
Yeah.
it's to help you too, which is like really cute.
No, they totally help us. They'll be like, well, my parents will time our performances.
That's cute.
That's so nice.
But they're straight
Wow.
up very like they see parent about it though. Like
Yeah.
I feel like when they watch our stuff, they'll just like I think they think that it's good to just like sit silently and
And
not
nod
disturb
politely.
Yeah,
and
and
nod
like,
politely.
and like that's how you
laugh
acknowledge
loud.
the
Yeah.
joke.
But in comedy, like you need the energy,
Yeah,
the laughter.
exactly.
So like Nudge and I went out to Steppenwolf.
And we had
And
no
we had no
idea
idea if it
about
was
like
funny.
timing because we
Yeah.
were like, okay, we're gonna go and we're just like we think this is a joke that people might laugh at, so we're gonna time it so that we wait and we like make facial expressions, whatever it is. They laughed at like so many other things that we're like we don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
Because our parents were just silent for like
Yeah.
15
We're like,
minutes.
oh shoot.
But it was actually really nice. I think they also saw like how people reacted to our performance and they
Yeah.
were like your daughter like were really proud of like what they
Yeah.
had done and they were happy to see that feedback
Yeah.
from like the community and
Of
then they were
course.
also just like they grew to understand like what was like the highest accomplishment you can have in like
Yeah.
comedy in that way.
I think
So-
also just a funny anecdote is like, well, also our parents are both very creative.
yeah.
And they're creative in different ways, and I feel like comedy is a way of creative expression.
Yeah, definitely.
So like eventually when they see like all the fine arts kind of coming together, like
Mhm.
I don't think people say comedy is a fine art, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like you are developing a skill,
Yeah,
you're
no, of
putting out a
course.
product. It is kind of in that realm. So like I think when they see what you're putting out, they see like, hey, this is similar, like this is similar to calligraphy, or this is similar
Yeah.
to like all these other different aspects that they do, or like poetry or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, our dad totally came out and saw us at a show once at IO, and he was like raving so much about it
Really?
that
so
we were
sweet.
so nervous he was going to sign up for classes.
like,
We're like,
don't,
no,
don't do it.
Like,
Bob.
How
don't
long with
sign
you
up.
guys?
Yeah, we're like, we can't. We have to stop this
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
So when you guys first started doing your own shows or like even with improv, were you did you guys ever feel like you had to filter yourself because you're like, oh, my family's watching, oh, like the community's watching, like how did you like push yourself to like not do that? Because I feel like especially with comedy or like even with YouTube channels, like the reason people watch you, even with us, like they watch us for like, you know, our unfilteredness, you know, they watch us because like we are ourselves and not like
Try to be as
filtering
open
ourselves.
as we
Yeah.
can, you know,
Like, we're being
give
ourselves,
the hardcore
yeah.
truth, you know,
Yeah.
none of that like.
So how was that for you guys? Like were you ever hesitant or how did you push through that?
I think okay, so when you enter like the realm of art, there are many different like routes that you can take. You really have to know who you are as a person and what you're comfortable with and what your boundaries are.
Because that gives you the confidence too, right?
That too, and like you're always gonna have other people doing other things, and you just have to know who you are.
Right.
And so I think we have certain rules for ourselves, and easier done on YouTube because you could always edit out, even if you know
Yeah.
whatever. But on improv, like you have
On
one
the
shot,
spot,
like you're on the
that's
spot.
it.
If your partner's like, you need to know how to react and like be on top of it.
Yeah.
I think we know at the end of the day that our nieces and nephew are watching. You know what I mean? Like our
Yeah.
family's watching,
Yeah.
and it's not so much like we're gonna talk about why we don't fast, why women don't fast during
Yeah,
Ramadan.
yeah.
Like we don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
But if it comes to like, we wouldn't want our nieces and nephew maybe like swearing or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like
Right,
we just
right.
want to make sure that we're setting an example that we believe that we set for ourselves. Not really that the community is setting for us,
Yeah.
but we're like, these are
Yeah,
the stories
'cause
that
then
we want to
that's when,
share.
Like, that's
Yeah.
when like, the whole like filtered thing comes in.
Right.
You know, you're preaching one thing and then doing another. But
And people
that's
probably like
great,
look up
though.
to you guys too. You know, you guys are definitely doing something that not a lot of people do. So it's just like, oh yeah, like you know, we might be role models for some people too. You know.
I know that's always nervous. I don't think about it that way because that's just too much pressure.
Yeah. mhm.
Yeah.
But like you never know. You know, some
I think
people will
it's-
be looking up to
I
you
think
guys.
it's just important to like
like have that in
act,
mind.
just like keep yourself like in the mindset like how you would. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to say like how
Keep it in the back of your mind.
Keep it
Yeah.
sort of in the back
Yeah.
of your mind, but still push yourself to be like who you are without
Oh, yeah.
filtering yourself just
Yeah.
to appeal to like you know the community, like the audience.
Yeah, I think at
I
the end of
agree
the day,
with
if you're, you take your audience into consideration, but if you're solely creating for your audience, I feel like
It's
it's not
harder
as
to cater to,
authentic.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like
you don't want to cater to the audience,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
what a product that you put out that's truly yourself is always going to feel
Yeah.
greater than like, okay, I'm doing this because.
And I feel like
For
it's more
somebody else.
unique.
Want that.
Yeah.
Or somebody else. No.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
So you guys said you guys started this after undergrad, right? So when you guys
Yeah.
were done with all your studies,
Yeah.
and then obviously after undergrad, you guys went into full-time careers, right?
Mhm.
So how was it like, basically balancing like home life, social life, improv, and like full-time careers?
Yeah,
Because
you guys
even
have
right
full-time
now, like
jobs, too,
I'm not
so-
working full-time, but you know, like I have so many extracurriculars and like you know even school and like a job too. Like, so what are your tips and advice to like juggle all those things
Yeah.
at once?
Well, my advice would be to start in undergrad. Just kidding. No,
Yeah.
we started after grad school, actually,
Mhm.
both of us.
Yeah.
But like, so thankfully I don't really know if it's thankfully, but we never had to deal with studying
Mhm.
in terms of
Uh-huh.
this.
Yeah.
But
Did you
I
guys
think
wish you started earlier by any
100%.
chance? Yeah.
I
We
do wish
have-
I started earlier, but also I understand that a study schedule is very different
Yeah.
than 9 to
Right.
5 and then doing
True,
stuff
but the thing
afterwards.
is, like, your what's it called? The access that you have in undergrad
That's also
to
very true.
cameras,
Yeah,
to stage time, to all of those different things,
And to people as well,
different
right?
to people as well,
Yeah.
different opportunities. Those are things that you'll never be able to get.
Yeah,
like,
and you
when
can
you're in the working
utilize
world.
it at
yeah.
the same time.
The people that you're surrounding yourself with, so much easier to like be like, yo, let's create something on a weekend. You know what I mean? Like you're all together. You're maybe all on
That's
campus
true.
together, and also just starting that learning curve earlier. I can only see that making you like a
better
more
person.
well-rounded, like better, strong, like
Because also like improv is not just like comedy, but it teaches you so many other values and skills. Like it teaches you to like honor each other's like ideas, support your partner, support your
Supporting,
team.
yeah, I
It's like
think
an
it's really
emotional sport. It's
Yeah,
like an
it really
emotional
is.
team
Yeah.
sport. And so like you learn a lot about like social emotional like awareness and like empathy and just I guess like public speaking, confidence, like all that stuff is like so invaluable in undergrad too.
Yeah,
So I can
definitely.
understand why like it would be nice to learn all those things in undergrad and just like grow as a person, as well as like the time that you have. I understand what you're saying.
in terms of balancing though, like when you have a
Balancing
career,
is
right?
so
Like a
different.
career is, I don't know, like it takes a lot of time. Basically how it works, at least with comedy, is it's your day job and your night job.
Yeah.
So like and during the day, like you're kicking butt at work, and at night, like comedy is a night thing. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna be doing shows at like anywhere from 8 to 12 p.m. or
Yeah.
later, like, and you might only get stage time at like 1 a.m. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
it takes up a lot of your time. And I think how we kind of like balanced it is we started incorporating like our family into things.
Yeah, no, we could as far as
Because like our family was not
balancing-
getting
What
enough
do you mean?
love
Yeah.
when we're
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
our
So it's
friends
like- yeah,
became like our improv
You
troops.
play,
Yeah.
you play with
So-
your friends, like you start incorporating your social life into like
You could like
the
mix
comedy
it,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Mix
you
it
invite
definitely.
your friends to
And
your
then-
shows, or like that's kind of how you kind of have to balance.
Balance
it.
it.
It's
Same
a
with
lot of
family.
work.
So then it gives you like family time, hang out with your friends
Yeah.
all at
Yeah.
once,
Yeah,
basically.
it's all at
Exactly.
once.
Back to Steppenwolf, like that's why it was so important.
Yeah.
Is because I think our family was just like happy to be a part of the process and like
Mhm.
happy to be like a part of our comedy life.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
when you just like want to. That's what's important for you to like incorporate whatever values you have. If you're
Yeah.
But-
family oriented, then bring it in.
Yeah. I think what's cool though is like whatever side hustle you do, if you feel like it's taking away from like a certain part of your life, like
Yeah.
you can always make a side hustle project that incorporates that part
Yeah.
of your life.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not seeing my friends at all. Like why don't I do a project with my friends?
Yeah.
And then I'm still getting that creative outlet and I'm still hanging out with my
And
friends.
I feel like including like your friends or family, it gives a different perspective or different
Yeah.
ideas as
I
well.
feel
Because like it's always like it's like you're working on it yourself, so it's just like only your ideas and your perspective. But maybe like your friend might be like, oh, maybe you should try this,
Try
and it
this,
ends
yeah.
up being a really good
Yeah.
idea. You know?
I feel
Oh, of
like
course,
just
more
if you're
ideas
like
to the table, the
passionate
better.
about anything, whatever it may be, I feel like you can always make time for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some one way or another
That's
you'll
the
figure it
thing.
out.
Yeah.
it's like it is a lot of work. You're gonna give up on sleep essentially.
Yeah.
But like if you want to do it,
Like, if
you
you
really
want it
wanna
bad
do
enough,
it,
You can
Yeah.
make it
then-
happen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
really important. People forget that because they're just like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. But you really just have to make time.
Yeah.
And it's possible. It's possible for everyone.
And I think like with any of those things that you're like kind of nervous about, or like maybe there was no whatever, like comedy wasn't available in your community. Like they're not,
Yeah.
they're probably not teaching that next to basketball in your
Yeah,
masjid. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So like, it's okay to start something and not be good at it.
Yeah.
But just like
Yeah.
try it.
Yeah.
keep
Even if-
going, being
Exactly.
consistent, like
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. So
That's
when
so
you guys
important.
started this, was there any like I know when it comes to like doing something that's different, there's always like you always get anxiety of like like failure. Failure is always out there,
Totally.
So how did you deal with that? Like there's some things like I know me and Nazish want to do, or like I want to do separately, or Nazish wants to do separately. But one thing that actually stops a lot of people is failure. So like, how did you deal with that, or like what would you do? What would you
How
say
do you
to
like
someone?
just push that like
Yeah,
failure mindset to
exactly.
the side?
That's a really,
That's
that's a hard
funny.
thing to teach,
It's
but
really
it's so important.
Yeah.
You're such a
mhm.
perfectionist. Heather.
I know that's a weird
I
thing.
mean, that was the
Like,
issue.
that's
Like
good
we were like,
though.
we're not gonna do it unless it's perfect video.
Yeah.
You
That's
just
good.
have
That
to
makes
put
you
it out
better,
there.
though,
Right.
right?
It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, my personality is very like, I don't want to look like an idiot. If my name's behind a project, I want to do a good job. But like, look at our YouTube videos, like we're just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yeah.
don't have crazy transitions.
And
At
I
the
feel
end
like
of the day, the
that's what
content's
that's
there.
what makes it authentic too. Like it's not completely
Right.
perfect, but what is, you
Right.
know?
You have to start somewhere and you're going to learn along the way. I think though, in terms of like not caring about what other, because the weird thing about art and creative expression, for some reason, and this brings it back to like,
other
did you
people
get pushback from the community?
yeah.
For some reason with like comedy, people are always like, what's the next step? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did the show. Where's it going to lead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Not
always
on
like,
TV.
it's never
If you're not on
validated
TV,
as
yeah.
it's not gonna
is.
happen.
Like if they know like, yeah, we're building confidence, we're building like expressing your ideas,
Yeah.
creating a character.
But I feel like that's not
At that
enough
time,
for
want
people.
more.
they don't care about
yeah,
that.
they don't care about
the
that.
skills that you're learning. They just want
Yeah.
to know like what's next.
But I feel like people like that, they also like don't really know like how it is to be pursuing something that's
Yeah.
creative, so they don't understand, you know.
Yeah,
That's true. It's just
That's a classic.
But I just don't understand like
immigrant
why. Yeah, but like
They just
why?
don't
But
know.
it doesn't happen with like if someone were to invite you to an art show and you did a
Yeah.
painting, they would never ask that.
Yeah.
But with comedy, they do. Or like with
Yeah.
acting, they do. I don't know what it is about
'Cause,
the
like,
brown
I-
community,
like,
but they
even-
do
even
that.
They're
though,
just
like, art-
unconventional. That's
Yeah.
why they're
No,
just
but
not
even-
used to it. They don't know. They don't know how it works. You know that
Yeah.
sort of
Right.
thing.
But also like we never knew what comedy was. Like when someone's like, "What's comedy?" Then I'm like, "Oh, have you seen an actor on TV?" Then they're like, "Oh, that's the only thing that they
Yeah,
know."
it's
Yeah,
true.
they
It's
have no
true.
idea what it means to have
Knowledge with
stage
it.
But
time. They
even
don't
like
know-
even
they've
with
never
like art too, with like
theater.
painting and stuff like that, like it's not obviously conventional either, you know, like it's not like you're gonna make a painting and like it sells for millions of dollars,
Right,
you
right.
know. So I feel like especially when it comes to art, it's just like it's there, you know, like you see it and it's done. But with comedy, it's just like you can feel so many different things.
Yeah.
Like some people could laugh, some people cannot, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just like
Maybe people
perceived in
cry.
different yeah.
But in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's perceived in so many different ways as well, you know.
Yeah, totally. I think so. So what I like meant by all of that was just like people are gonna have opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
So like no
regardless.
matter what you're putting out there, someone's gonna
can
say
control
something
that.
about it.
Yeah.
So that is kind of nerve wracking. But I think that I'm actually trying to figure out the answer. I think I stopped caring. Well,
hard.
first of all, when I thought it was fun, when I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this is fun, this makes me happy,
Yeah.
I really don't care what you
Yeah.
think. But also, improv itself, because the chances of you having a bad improv show are very high.
Oh,
Yeah.
The chances of it being literally perfect and everything sinking into place is like
Are very
1 in a
low.
million.
Yeah,
And when that happens, that high is like amazing, and that's why you do it. But like, you just have to know, like, you're gonna go out there and fail,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's what improv kind of teaches you. And through improv specifically, I think I just had like I literally do not care about making a fool of myself.
Yeah.
Because I have my teammates behind me.
Yeah.
Stand up is a little bit different because if you go up there and bomb, it's like that's on you because
Yeah.
you're only
Yeah.
up there alone. But just having like, okay, so what's the worst that can happen? People boo me off the stage. Like, I really don't care. I have
Yeah.
another show tomorrow. I'm gonna make it. Like, I'm gonna make up for. You just. I think if you have a vision and you have you just have it's fun and you have a passion for it,
And if
you're
you're
like,
confident in it
yeah,
too. Yeah.
you just do it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
feel
not-
like
And also just if you so sorry now.
no.
I'm just gonna jump in here real quick. No, I just want to be like, improv sets. Yes, they sometimes stink, and you go up there and it's only for like 5 minutes, and then you ruminate about it for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But like honestly, just knowing that like you put something out there, it didn't even last for that long. It doesn't. It's not gonna affect everyone else's life. It's not gonna
Yeah,
affect
no one's
your
gonna
life
remember
that
it.
much.
No one's gonna remember forever like that.
Really,
no.
it's not a big deal. No one's the queen of the world,
Yeah.
except for me. But just like knowing that, like, just write about whatever you felt like was wrong, or like whatever you did different, like whatever you need to do differently, and then just do it next time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just about like not making it a bigger deal than it is.
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
gonna
a
be
big deal to
you're gonna be
fail
harder on yourself
YouTube
than anyone
or
else
whatever.
is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even if someone says like, yeah, your joke sucked, like they're not gonna. By the
They're not
time they're
gonna
home,
care.
they're
Even
they're
if
not
like
caring about
even
it.
if the
Yeah.
greatest like comedian in the world was like, oh yeah, you guys did good, but if you yourself didn't think it
Yeah.
was good,
Yeah.
I'd still be like,
It's
no,
not
I
gonna
need
be
to do better. 'Cause
Exactly.
At the end
It's
of the
about
day,
you at
like
the end of
the
the day.
opinion
you're
that matters to me
confident
the
with
most
it, yeah.
is me. Yeah, is my.
And I
own
feel like
opinion.
this goes with any side business, whether it's comedy, like improv, any side hustle, whatever it is. I feel like the chances of failure could be very low if people were just super consistent. Like no matter how long it took, months, years,
Yeah.
if people just put in that same consistent effort,
Like,
through-
that they
over
had
a
in the
period of
beginning,
time,
yeah.
over a period of time.
'Cause I feel like-
there's honestly there's no chance of failure
Yeah.
because you can only get
What is
better.
failing though?
you know?
Literally, what is
but
failing?
really,
And
yeah.
like you have to identify what failure is.
failure
too.
looks
Failure's
different
like
and
giving
everyone's
up
different.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
like-
how I would
yeah.
see this.
Yeah.
Failure would be completely giving up, and
Yeah.
it's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
It's just like
Failing is not like
it's just done with.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like you put it in the closet, it's over with.
Yeah.
But that's the only true failure when you give up on it. You know,
Yeah.
not when you consistently keep going, pushing yourself to
Yeah.
become better. Take
you're always
however
gonna improve.
long
Yeah.
it
But
needs.
also-
to,
You're
always
you know?
gonna
Yeah,
Just
I
keep
mean,
going.
I also wanted to say, like, Hib and I, because we started on YouTube and there wasn't like, really that much that we did, in the past year or whatever. Like, people would probably be like, "Oh, did you like fail your YouTube channel?" But that's
Yeah,
not
they're
really
like,
what
did
it
you guys
is
stop
because
working on it?
but like we did so many other things and it lent to so many other opportunities that I feel like
Something
it was
that's not even,
it's just like a step in the process
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not like a fail, but
That's
it's
so
just
true.
like it grew into something bigger and
Yeah.
better.
it's like a ladder, you know, like it's just
It totally
takes you
did. And
higher.
like all those things add up. I was supposed to say this in the beginning, but I got the Cranes 20 in their 20s.
Oh, I was supposed to
this
say that
year.
for you. I'm so sorry. Hip and I both got the crane.
That was mentioned in the
No.
article, but
One time.
It
Wow,
was
that's
like-
actually really cool
That's
though.
so
it was
cool.
really
Mashallah,
exciting. I
mashallah.
never like went out thinking, yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, dude, I literally got it like 2 months before my 30th birthday, which is crazy. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
barely 20
Yeah.
when I got
Uh-huh.
it.
It was
And I
like right
never
at the
thought-
deadline,
yeah.
basically.
I never thought like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to get that
Yeah.
by the time I'm 30. Never in a million years.
It just happened, right?
It just happened, and it was like a combination of our YouTube channel, our this, like our
Yeah,
improv,
just
our
everything.
like our like mentoring and all these different things.
Yeah.
And it was like at that point I could finally be like, our YouTube channel helped.
Yeah.
Like even though y'all thought it was like the dumbest thing that we
Yeah.
were putting out, if I didn't have
course.
that
Yeah,
to
to have that
show,
product.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I wouldn't have gotten the
Yeah.
cranes. So
Yeah.
like it's nice to see like even if you're doing all of these side hustles, like eventually things are going to converge
Of
and you're going to be
course,
like,
yeah.
this moment, this is why I did all those things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I failed all those
Yeah.
times, or I wasn't like perfect all those times, but here where I am now, like
Yeah.
I understand why
And you
I
have
did
to
all
think
those
about that
things.
moment, you know, like you're
Yeah.
gonna have that moment, inshallah, like in the future with whatever you do. That's gonna be that moment where you look back and you're like, okay, everything
I'm glad I
was
did
worth
this.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So since we're talking about failure and like I want to talk about like when you guys started this like comedian thing, like what did success look like to you and like what did you guys want to like did
Get
you guys
out
just
of
do
it.
this for fun
Yeah,
or
like,
like
what
did
did
you like
you
expect yourself
expect?
like oh I'm gonna be under the 20 under 20 you know, like
Yeah.
what were you guys looking for like were you guys just doing it for
Yeah.
fun or how was that
Yeah.
for you guys?
It's so weird. Like when you start a YouTube channel, when you start anything with like Instagram or YouTube, it's
Yeah.
like, what are the views? How
Mhm,
many views are you getting?
How
What are
many
the
likes do
stats?
I get? Yeah.
We never wanted to be in that realm. We're like, we want to have fun.
Yeah.
We want to do our own thing. I think we're smart enough girls that if we wanted to reach a certain amount of followers, like we
Yeah.
could probably do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, I think at the end of the day, we're like, what do we think is funny? What do we want to put
Yeah.
out
It's
there?
like quality over quantity.
Yeah, or like just
'Cause some of
ridiculous
them-
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think like eventually, like I don't even think we saw improv in our future at that point.
Yeah.
But eventually we started doing live shows, and I think we're like, for me at least, I was like, I would love to do a live performance with you and have it be like sold out. I think that was like my tiny goal that I had like back in the day. And it ended up
And- no,
happening,
we did
which is
it.
crazy. But like I would have never thought that when
Yeah.
we started. I was like, I really
Yeah.
want to do a
Those
show.
goals
with
like
Najah.
come
Yeah.
like, you know, with it, with
So
time.
do you think that like when someone starts off a side hustle or whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
do you think it's important to just like go and do it or like create like these little stepping stones? So it's just like, oh, I reached this milestone, now it's like to this big. Like, what do you what do you do
Yeah.
with that? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's always good to have a vision for sure, but I think that if your vision is bogging you down, then it's probably counterproductive.
yeah, because sometimes you might be so
You
like
just have to-
restrictive on
right.
You
yourself
can't be
too.
too spontaneous, but
Yeah.
not too like controlling of it.
Yeah,
You have
I've-
to kind of balance.
we definitely didn't have our goal. Like when we started YouTube, our goal was like a video a week. That was our goal.
yeah, and I feel
It
like
wasn't
that's
really
not,
a goal.
Yeah,
It's not even a goal.
It's just like what
It's
you
a
need to do.
timeline.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like that's
Yeah,
like
it's
bringing
literally
your
just an
purpose
agenda.
though. Like when you're just trying to figure out like, oh, like, or your purpose or your intention with it. It's like, okay, we know that like we want to showcase our humor. Like we
Yeah.
know we have that skill. So like how do we excel in this skill? Okay, we're going to make a YouTube channel. Okay. So now we've done that, it's just like I don't know, how do you keep like pushing
You kind of have to keep
You just-
pushing though.
keep pushing, but like also once you start off with YouTube, then like you can the opportunities kind of just come to you. I mean,
Mhm.
when improv happened, like I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna like I'm gonna take a class, and it's like, okay, now there's stage time. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna try this.
You
It's just
see
like,
it as you go too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what? Okay, so like I did this. What else could help in that
Yeah.
Right.
repertoire,
Mhm.
right? And like and
what can you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and every skill that you have, even if it's like, okay, yeah, we might not be actively filming YouTube right now. Like we can still go back to. It's not like it's
Yeah.
officially done, but like if you're kind of honing all these skills like all at
Yeah.
once, eventually they're gonna come together.
And they're
you're
always
be
gonna be there
stronger
for you
than
to go
were
back
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Mhm.
yeah.
I know that like for a fact when we did our live show, if we did it right after we did our YouTube channel, it would have been 100% different, and we wouldn't have known like how to do it. And like improv basically helped us realize like how does an audience react?
Yeah.
How do we write and like elicit a feeling?
Yeah.
It was way more. It was a comedy show that could make you cry and could make you feel something and could make you laugh. Like that was our goal. Like. Najah did monologues and people were like applauding her after her
Yeah.
monologues because she was talking about her
Wow.
relationship with our younger brother, and it was like that was like what we wanted to do, and we would have never been able to do that in the same way if we just came from the YouTube
Yeah.
angle. So like, I don't know. I think it's okay if it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But like eventually all those
Eventually it'll fall into
It'll
place.
come
exactly,
together,
and
yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
they'll fall into place. And I think every skill that you have, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
in two polar different, if you're learning skills for work, that can still impact your side hustle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're learning
Definitely,
things in your
yeah.
side hustle that can
Yeah.
impact your work.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
just, like,
whatever,
living
like-
a well-rounded life, I think helps.
And then, yeah, I mean, I've definitely experienced that too, especially with social work. It lends itself really well into improv and comedy and vice versa. Like, that's a bidirectional
Sure.
relationship. Help! No,
I'm
you're
like, yeah,
not-
that makes sense. That sounds right.
Okay, no, but like, it's something that I realized. I was like, okay, I have these two fields, or like these things that are important to me. Like, if I can make this merge, if I can like find that like skeletal key, whatever it's called, like whatever that unlocks this potential, then it's gonna work. So I was just thinking like, okay, I can tap into all of your skills, and if you want it, to make it less overwhelming for yourself, you can like mix whatever fields you want together. And so for me, Hib and I didn't actually mention this, but like as a social worker, it's important for me to like build social emotional and intelligence and awareness in like different populations, and that's something that like comedy and improv
Have to do with.
have to do with that. And so like Hib and I over the summer did like this kids comedy course for like young
That's
Muslim,
so cool.
like young
So
Muslim
fun.
kids. It was
Really
the
sweet.
funnest and
Greatest thing ever.
honestly, it was just like I can see like my social work side like kicking in to develop that curriculum as well as like our improv background, and I never saw like those two fields like converge, but it was really special for that moment.
And that like just brings me back to like what the like Muslim community thinks about like improv. When we were pitching that to parents that are like a little bit older than us but have younger kids, when we pitched it, we're like, these are all the skills that your children are going to learn: self-confidence, not being afraid to express their ideas, all these things that you that are in really high demand, but you don't necessarily associate with comedy.
And also, you don't necessarily, like, children don't necessarily learn that in school either.
Exactly.
It's like math, science, reading, that's it, you know?
I feel like school doesn't even give you those,
they
that
will never let
basic-
you tap into, like, that creative side.
the
So it's
creative
a
side,
really
yeah.
good thing that you guys are doing
It's
something
really-
like that.
And so those parents were all like, yeah, 100%, sign us up, sign our kids
Yeah.
up. And I think that if our parents heard back in the day, like, do you want your kids to learn these skills? When we were growing up, 100% they would have said
Yeah.
yes. So I just think it's kind of, and that can happen with any fine art. If you like break it down into like, these are the actual skills that you're
Yeah.
developing, I think honestly, our community would be really supportive.
Yeah,
they just like
definitely.
don't really
They
It's
don't
so
know
many of these things.
exactly.
That's the issue.
And
That's
I feel
the
like
problem.
I feel like our generation, especially with you guys too, you know, you guys are like breaking that barrier for allowing these things to be like not necessarily part of a curriculum, but exposing like younger kids to it at an early age. Like even for me,
like these words that we didn't have.
yeah,
you know?
even for me, like I always had like a creative like side to me, and I've always was into like fashion design and
That's
everything, you
amazing.
know. But the only outlet that I had was like on my own time at home drawing, you know. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh yeah, this isn't a conventional career. Like I just do this as a hobby. Like I don't see myself doing this like in the future, you know. So it's really good that you guys are exposing kids to that as well. So as I'm like talking about like what I wanted to do too when I was younger. So when you guys you're an architect and you're a social worker, when you guys were going into college, did you guys did you guys just do it just to do it, to have like, oh yeah, this is a solid career, this gives you a solid salary, or did you guys have something else that you guys wanted to, like how was that for you guys?
I laugh at salary because
I'm laughing at salary.
Well, no, I can't. Social workers don't.
Hib was talking
Are
about
not
her
known.
salary.
I'm laughing at my salary and she's laughing at her.
I'm
salary.
laughing at mine because I'm laughing at Hibbo laughing at hers, and I'm like, my salary is the population of Park
Let's
Ridge.
just-
You can look it up. Anyways,
It's no, but literally though, architects are not known for. Like, you don't go into architecture for
Yeah.
a salary. We put
Yeah.
in as much schooling as a doctor does, but we do not make nearly as much.
Yeah,
So it's not really like a salary thing. I think I was talking to Naja earlier about this, and just in terms of like going into our profession. So I would consider our professions, I guess, untraditional,
Yeah.
just because it's not like back in the day when we were kids, it was like engineer, doctor.
Yeah.
Now a little bit more lawyer.
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
but back then it wasn't. So definitely we didn't. I mean, I didn't have mentors in my field growing up. All of my classmates were pre-med. They were all cheating off each other. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They were all cheating off each other, and I didn't have anyone to cheat off of. I
Yeah.
was like, I guess I got to do this model by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You know,
People
whatever.
It's like I actually have to
Standing
study
alone
for
in the
now,
back.
like God
Exactly.
damn it, yeah.
should have done. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Can we move the seating arrangement, please?
But like, so I would say, yeah, going into it, it wasn't. I don't know. I would say I don't really know we were talking
Wait,
about
you
this
asked
earlier.
why we went into
So,
No,
like,
no,
no,
she's
like,
saying
you know
like,
how, like-
did you go into it because it was a solid career
No,
choice?
not even that. Not even that.
Okay.
Like, I'm saying, like, did you guys actually want to do what you're
Yeah,
doing
when you
right
were
now?
growing- yeah,
That's
oh,
like what I'm
that's
Or
saying.
you, like,
Because
driven
there's
by
like,
something else.
there's
I
so
love that you
there's
asked
so
it
many
like
other
that.
things you could do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you guys like, if you guys like comedy back then, would you like pursue that full time, or
Right.
would you do you know, architecture?
Yeah, exactly.
Architect?
Architecture.
Something like
Architecture.
that.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. You got it. Yeah, I think so. Like with anything, it's really hard to like know what you're gonna do for the rest of
Oh,
your
yeah,
life when you're
definitely.
young. I think that's
Mhm.
the stupidest thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But like, I think like any relationship that you have in your life over a long period of time, like, because when you go to school for like that long, you learn about your career through learning about your
Yeah.
career.
Yeah,
It's
mhm.
like, yeah, I think architect sounds cool, and then
Yeah.
you learn what it is when you
Yeah.
actually take the
Yeah.
courses.
Mhm.
So like that develops over time, and I think like as you grow older, you have to keep reestablishing like, what is my relationship with this field?
Yeah.
And how do I want to kind of serve my purpose? I keep talking about this with like so many other people, but Chadwick Boseman, when he gave his speech to the Black Panther, when he gave his speech to Howard University, he talked about finding your purpose, and he was like, and pick a career that's right for you. Essentially, is what he said in the speech, and I found that to be so powerful because I think like it's really important. No two people are the same. Me and Naja share like everything growing up. We
Yeah.
still share like a room, like we still live at home,
Yeah.
like all of that stuff. We have two very different lives and two
Yeah.
very
And
two
you guys were brought up the same way too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, exactly.
we're
Mhm.
siblings, but we are
Yeah.
two very individual people with different experiences. So you have to find out the purpose that you have. And then you find a career and you mix them. Because I feel like the way I view a career and my coworker views a career is going to be different.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think a career really exists for you out there. You need to create your own
Yeah,
career.
what you
is what I'm
make
trying
of
to
it,
say.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you have your own relationship with your own career. Like, you're essentially like, architect is now your label, social worker is now my label. Like, how do I relate to that
Yeah.
label,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a growing process, and you just like continue working on that, and like as you grow as a person, like that's gonna change how you
Yeah.
look at your career and
Right, of
whatever it is.
course.
And so,
You just need to find the convergence of your career
Yeah.
and your purpose,
Mhm.
basically. And I think that if at any point I find that my purpose is not matching architecture, then yeah, I could see myself
Yeah,
leaving
it's
it.
not aligned.
Yeah.
As of right now, I see a lot of overlap between architecture and comedy, which sounds crazy, but I do feel like they're very similar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I can use them both, and
Yeah.
I can like accommodate them both, and I'm happy doing
And like the
both.
skills overlap
she's
in a
so
sense.
nice,
Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree. So basically, this is a secret, but basically I like went into graduate school for social work thinking, I was like, I'm gonna fool the system, I'm gonna actually become a graphic designer for a nonprofit, and I'm just gonna go to social work school just to get the MSW. So
Honestly, I think
do
the
it.
same way. I'm a finance major. I'm trying to find loopholes right now.
And I was like,
Not
that's
even
the
kidding.
loophole. Like, that's what I saw myself doing. And then once I took my first class, I was like, wait, I think I have a lot of skills to be a really good clinical social worker.
Yeah.
And then I ended up becoming one. So, I mean, it's just, you learn a lot through going to grad school. Sometimes the career that
Or
I
even
thought I
undergrad.
was
It's like
gonna
your own
want,
journey. Yeah, you just
I-
learn different things.
completely like ended up somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think I found I found a purpose for myself at home a long time ago when I just had like different family dynamics when my relationship with my brother and all of that, and I feel like that really just set me up for the kind of work that I was looking for and the kind of things that I found value in. So I knew I always wanted to work with like vulnerable populations because of my background,
Yeah.
and I just used my background to my advantage and figuring out like how I can how I can hone my skills, bring that back to help my family, and then bring that back to help my
Basically,
community.
something you can bring home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And vice versa, like bring to work,
I
bring home.
I think
Yeah.
when you're in high school and going into undergrad, you probably have a good sense of what your values are at that point.
yeah.
Though, like, obviously that can change and grow
Yeah,
when you get older, but you do have a set of values.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, if you think about those values and pick a career based on that, I think there's a lot of potential
Yeah.
there. And so, like, for community, we were always doing community service growing up. That was always going to be something that was in the cards. And if it's not in my profession, then I'm going to find it in my side hustle. But
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make architecture and community service, like, work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
determined to make it work, and there are. It's not like the main track of architecture, but like
Yeah.
there are people who also think like that. So
Yeah.
No, the fact that you can like, even if it seems like it wouldn't work, the fact that you can just somehow,
The fact that you're trying,
yeah, like
at
put it
least,
together, and
yeah.
it's working. I feel like it's so important because sometimes people are just like, oh yeah, like it doesn't seem like it'll go together, so they'll just leave it.
Yeah. So a question that I have for you, Nazish. is
Yes!
so now I made you guys do
Why am
talking.
I on the spot
But
now?
no, it's like a question for myself too. You know, like you're a computer science major.
Yeah.
I'm a finance major. So was there something that you want to do that was like an unconventional career, like going to undergrad?
So this is actually something that's sort of in the works for me right now.
Stay
I am
tuned.
honestly,
You heard it here first.
yes, I'm a computer science major, but that's really not something I want to pursue. That's something that's kind of just like there for me. It's my little backup if I'm.
Yeah.
It's for
you know,
your
if I have to-
parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's for my parents. Yes, but I'm really into jewelry designing, traditional like bridal jewelry, and that's really what I want to focus on. And you know, it's in the works. Alhamdulillah, like it's going really well. So
Yeah.
that's really what
Mashallah, mashallah.
Yeah.
no,
So
Nazir,
that's
yeah.
why
Mashallah.
unconventional. Yeah, mashallah. Thank
Yeah.
But I can see your computer science skills probably playing a part in just like you starting that business.
Yeah, like even with like, you know, it's
What do
like
you
oh,
do?
design your own website or
Yeah,
something
like
like
I feel
that.
like
You know, like
still
the skills are
creativity
there.
is still there. Yeah.
exactly.
But yeah, that's my unconventional career that I really want to go into, and you know, just like you said, you just make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, like I said, I was always into fashion. I was always into like, but like it was the same thing. It's just like, you know, that's not conventional. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
And then I literally went into finance for the money, you know.
Everyone
You heard it here first. Money. Okay.
But like no, like I still like finance only because you know I feel like finance is the backbone of every business.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
true.
literally what I say in like interviews. They're like, yeah, you're so right. I was
She's
like,
literally just
yeah, yeah. But like yeah, so I did that. But the thing is, for me, like I still see myself in the fashion industry, and even
doing
if I
more with it. Yeah.
but even if I can't like completely be like a fashion designer, like I see myself either like you know like consulting fashion firms, like small fashion firms,
Yeah.
and like telling them about like, oh, what you can do with your finances, allocating resources. So like I feel like at the end of the day, like you guys said,
You
like
use
I was just
both.
like thinking about like what I want to do and like my
Yeah.
like major, and like what you guys said, like your skills can like intertwine a lot, you know. So I feel like that's like a really good advice to give. But since we're talking about advice, we're probably gonna close off soon. But what general tips or advice do you guys have for someone that wants to do an unconventional career or like even a side hustle or just in general like dealing with the community as well? I know we
Yeah,
went
there's a
over it, but
lot.
like
Yeah.
any closing tips or
Like, and just, like,
advice?
few words that
Yeah.
you'd like to give.
Oh, a few words.
Oh no. Okay.
No pressure.
Well, I kind of touched on a lot of this stuff before,
Yeah.
but I always say, and like something that I always make the wall for is like, I just try to think of all my experiences and all of my blessings / talents that
Yeah.
God has given me, and everyone has them,
Yeah.
and it's unique to every
true.
single person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what legacy do I want to leave? What
Exactly,
can like
yes.
based on what you've given me, God, what can I give to
What
the
can
world?
I make
Yeah.
use of
And
this
if
and
that's
give out?
something like comedy that no one else
Yeah.
thinks is a value but you think is, like that's
Yeah.
okay to pursue it, right? So I think just really focus on looking inwards and seeing like what your individual purpose is, and share those blessings, because I
Yeah.
think that's like
Definitely,
an
that's so
Islamic thing to
true.
do is
Mhm.
sharing
Definitely.
sharing your blessings and
Yeah.
talents and time.
I agree. If you're not familiar with Kung Fu Panda 3, I'm going to be quoting it right now. So basically, there's a training scene where you're trying to. Po is going to train pandas how to become a
Ninjas?
kung fu
Oh,
warriors.
sorry, I'm sorry. I said
And
the
so
wrong word.
basically, what he says is, I can't turn you into me. I can turn you into you.
Oh my
okay?
God,
That is a big
That's a really
deal.
good
So
quote.
what you
That's-
like,
yeah.
what you need to realize is like you have what you have, right? You have your strengths and you have your talents. Your real strength is what does he say? The real strength that you have is
Being you.
being
Being
you.
you.
So what makes you
Like your
you?
unique
What do
talents
you
and assets.
love?
Mhm.
What do you like? What skills do you have? What talents do you have? What makes you
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And just be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
It's so
you have your own
important.
strengths
Yeah.
and talents. Like excel in whatever like you're meant to excel in. Like
Yeah.
evolve into your next Pokemon self. I don't even
Yes!
know. Evolve from Magikarp to Gyarados. I love
Yeah.
that you said it.
No, and also like you know how you guys said like with that quote that you just said like be your best self basically. I feel like also when people have like mentors or you know like you guys did you guys say you guys were mentors?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like I feel like when you have a mentor it's just like okay, tell me exactly what you did because I want to be exactly like you. But the
Right.
thing is like that's not unique. There's like you already exist, you know, like make the
Yeah.
best version of yourself is like basically
That's a
what you
great
need
point,
to
yeah.
But I feel like we hit every topic. Do you think so?
I think
yeah.
you did a pretty
So
solid job.
like plug yourselves in like your Instagram for what is it
Oh, shoot,
uncivilized
yeah,
yeah
okay.
All right,
So,
go
At
ahead,
uncivilized.
yeah we'll add it to
We'll
the
Oh,
add
bio
perfect.
too
'Cause
yeah
people get the spelling wrong.
yeah
And then at tying the knot.
at time
Those are the two, I
okay
think.
got it
And we are on YouTube and Instagram and
Yes.
Facebook. So
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube. We'll be posting this video shortly, soon. Yeah. Okay. And
Eventually, at
we'll
least
see you guys
eventually.
next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.